Welcome to the Myth and Magic Authors Podcast, folklore and fantasy topics aimed at creative storytellers. To write stories and challenge your brain with exciting ideas, delve into these presentations and reflections. See how fantasy realms are based on actual world history, legend, and lore. Study fairy tales, nature fables, and supernaturalism to engage in a jumble of concepts that will trigger your fancy and get you writing imaginatively. Now, here's your host, Neil Mack.
Time to find the inner writer. Where is your why? We all have a favourite author, yeah? Are you yours? It's time to find the inner person who sits behind the writer. And here are 8 simple questions to solve the who behind the why riddle. Before embarking on any creativity exercises, perhaps we should think rigorously about who sits behind the written words. While we talk a lot about fantasy creation and the mechanics of writing, we don't talk nearly enough, you and I, about you, the author. How do you fit into the creative puzzle that we call authoring? And I mean you, the genuine and authentic person who sits there at the keys. Not an avatar of a person, but the actual person, the you. Because you don't simply write with pen and paper and a keyboard. You write with a heart and with determination and with soul and with a conscience and with expectations. So what do you know about this person, the person who uses your name and calls themselves the author? Do you know this author well enough to answer 8 questions about their life and their values? Let's see. Try this quiz to find the real human behind the words written in your name. So here are 8 simple questions to find the human behind the words. The first is this. What is your superpower? We all know that a key attribute of a superhero is the power for her or him to do good. Yes, they might possess superhuman strength and ability. They might be able to fly across the sky at supersonic speeds or use special powers to defend themselves from flying bullets. But they only do all of these things for good. They use their tools for good. What ability do you possess and how do you use it for good? Let me tell you a story. One very boring, dreary day, when I was working with my colleague, I started to feel a little bit jealous of her superpower. She had a real tangible superpower. She had one of those photographic memories. It was, I think, a eidetic memory. So she could come to work, and on the way to work she would read a book, an entire book on our journey. And not only would she be able to remember every single character, she'd be able to remember the plot twists and even the page numbers. And I said to her, I wish I had a special superpower like that. I don't have any superpowers. I don't have any prowess. I have no talents, and I wish I did. And my friend, she shook her head and she said, oh, but you do. You possess a power, and it's a superpower, and I'm jealous of it. And in fact, I think it's as rare as a photographic memory. And I said, oh, come on. I'm as thick as a brick, and you know it. I've no natural aptitude for anything. I barely have any skills. I can sincerely say that I don't excel at anything. And she said, yes, I suppose that's all true. And she said that a bit quickly, I thought. But then she added, okay, you're not brilliant and you're not skilled, but you possess a unique talent. And it's something that makes you who you are. And it's something distinctive. Well, of course, I wanted to hear more. I thought she was going to go all new agey on me, actually, and start talking about holistics and channeling and all that sort of stuff. And I was really pleased that she didn't peddle out an old hackneyed expression, something like, we're all of us, each one of us, worthy in our own way. But I knew she wasn't that kind of girl. I knew she wouldn't say something as trite as that. No, she said something that was actually very useful to me and constructive. She said, your superpower is effort. You're serious and conscientious about everything you do. No matter how long it takes you and how many screw-ups you make, you can be trusted to complete a project. And that's because of your effort. Your superpower is effort. You put the effort in. And I looked at her and I smiled because nobody had ever told me that before. And she said, she kind of added, if I could work with the same kind of effort as you, I'd be happy, but I can't. Do you know why? Because my superpower makes me lazy. So question 1 of this quiz is, what is your superpower? If you don't know or you can't be sure at the moment, ask a friend. But don't ask any old friend. Ask somebody who isn't going to be tempted to just say the right thing to please you, but will give you an informed and an objective opinion. And once you've identified your superpower, then use all of that powerful strength and that ability towards a greater purpose, because that's what superheroes do. They do good with their power. Hopefully, this will be through writing fiction. But it may not be. There may be other ways that you can make a difference with your powers. But first, you have to identify them. Question 2. What are your core values and beliefs? I reviewed beliefs in episode 76 of the Myth and Magic podcast for fantasy authors. But to recap, I think the only way to authentically and honestly communicate with your readers is by knowing your own non-negotiable values. And once you identify those values, you can play with concepts in your fiction, and you can even threaten or compromise those values, because you'll always have a moral compass that will guide you back to the high ground, and it will rescue your readers too. Your non-negotiable values will help take you through the stormy moments of the story structure, so you'll emerge the other side emotionally intact. Values are a little bit different to beliefs, although we can merge them. So, for example, I value personal freedom, and this overlaps with my belief that people should be free to do whatever they want, but as long as that freedom does not harm or erode or diminish another person's freedom. So to give you an example, racing down a track in a fast car is fine by me, but racing down a public road in the same fast car is not okay. To be of any beneficial use to society, your beliefs must be healthy and positive. So in your stories, the good must win, the heroes must prevail, evil must perish, diabolical monsters must be defeated, angels must triumph, superheroes, however imperfect, must outwit their enemies. Your story should be object lessons or deterrent examples. For all these reasons, it's vitally important to connect with your inner values and beliefs. But how can you write honestly if you don't know exactly what they are? So take time out to consider them, then write them down where you can see them, and I would put them just above your workstation if I was you. Because it's important to commit to them. You are going to commit to your values and you're going to commit to your beliefs. Question 3. What do you daily wish for? If you find that you're looking forward to a time when something could happen, you're closing your eyes and you're wishing you were somewhere else or someone else or something else, then it's quite possible your unconscious wish mind is telling you something. It could be an unconscious desire that requires release, or it might be that your subconscious thoughts are hinting to you that you've not yet achieved your goals. So try to identify what your innermost voice is saying. Your innermost voice will be saying it through wishes. Once you know what your wish is about and is for, then you can plan to achieve it through ambition. And the only way you can achieve ambitions is through some action planning. So write down now the thing you most wish for. Question 4. What has been your happiest moments? For this one, you need to explore your life, and a good day to do this is on your birthday. But try to identify your happiest moments. You'll need to list them, so you'll need to write a list, because this will help you manage and organise your thoughts and will bring back some forgotten memories. Once you've listed your happiest moments, try to see if there's a common theme or thread that connects them. It could be a person, it can be a place, it can be a sensation, it can be a feeling. It could be none of those things, or it might be all of them. If there's a common theme or a thread, it's probably related to your core values, which we just talked about. So if you haven't yet decided what your beliefs and your values are, this is an exercise which could help you complete that task. If you hadn't added a theme to your values, now's the time to do it. Question 5. Achievements and missteps. What are your achievements and your missteps? It's time to find out what you've done efficiently and also what you've done less well. Let's start with the positives. What are your greatest achievements? I want you to make a list of all the things that you've done, said or created that have made you feel the most proud. Write them down, be honest, then pat yourself on the back for doing so well. Can you understand at this stage why you're so proud of these achievements? If you can, write down your thoughts of why. If you can't, then don't worry, but try to write down why they made you proud. Now for the less positive. What were your biggest failures? Do you remember when you accomplished less than you ought to have? Can you remember your biggest mistakes? Now, I don't want you to list these because that's going to be too painful, but try to get an idea why these missteps affected your pride. This exercise is about reflecting on the good and the bad and trying to find out if there are any ingredients in the negatives that can be fixed or removed, and any ingredients in the positives that could help correct any errors in the future. Number 6. What good works are you doing? Sometimes our higher purpose is the thing that fuels us. It's bigger than us, so therefore it propels us. So if you do good deeds, for example, you volunteer your time, or you help or train others, or you care for somebody, or you do some other altruistic or philanthropic work, it doesn't have to be with humans, it could be with animals or with plants, but any of those types of endeavours will help you feel proud about yourself and will become causes that will be worth fighting for. So make a list of all the good deeds you're doing right now and that you feel most proud of. If you can't think of any good deeds, then go back to the question about your happiest moments and think about how you could make someone else as happy as you once were, and then make it happen, and that will be your new good work. And number 7, what will they miss about you when you're gone? In the movie The Legend of Ron Burgundy, Anchorman 2, The Legend Continues, there's a character known as Brick Tamland, if you've seen the film, and he attends his own funeral to give his eulogy, and it's a very funny scene. Think about your eulogy in the same light-hearted but honest way, and ask yourself, what would you miss about yourself once you're gone? If you can identify some principal characteristics about yourself and explain your most endearing traits, and can think up some inspiring things to say about yourself, then you're halfway to understanding what motivates you, what your standpoint is, and what your persuasion is, what persuasion you represent. Because once you know those things, it'll become easier to plan the themes for your fiction. And finally, question 8, what are you meant to do next? When thinking of ambitions, people think of intangibles. I want to be famous. I want to be successful. I want to be rich. I want to be healthy. These are all airy notions. And even when people achieve them, if they do achieve them ever, they constantly change, they move around, and they can never be satisfactorily realised. Of all the intangible ambitions, the airiest fairy of all is, I want to be happy. It's like saying, I want a bus ticket to Cloud Cuckoo Land. Now's the right time to set some goals, and these goals should be achievable, but they also should be measurable, unlike those airy notions we just said. So make a list of what you're meant to do next. Just think about those words for a moment. Think about those words carefully. What are you meant to do next? You're not asking yourself what you'd like to do, because that's letting yourself off the hook. You're asking what you're supposed to do, and that's a whole different ball game. Your answer to this question, what are you meant to do next, should be informed by all the other questions that you've asked yourself in this quiz, because your answer will be based on your strengths and your weaknesses, on your values and your beliefs, on what you hope to achieve for yourself and for others, and how others will value and regard your achievements. So what are you supposed to do next? What are you supposed to do with your life? The answer's in your capable hands. So good luck.